Hello, everybody. I hope you guys are having an incredible day. And I hope you enjoyed yesterday's meditation. I got a lot of messages from you telling me that you really enjoyed the meditation and that you're loving this 30-day challenge. So I'm very, very happy to hear that. And I really hope that each one of these is in alignment energetically with you to assist you in this process of growing and expanding your light. So, today we're going to be working, as I mentioned, with all the different chakras this week. And the chakras are the gateways to life force and the ability of life force moving through the body. So, wherever there is a blockage in the multidimensional body that is being expressed through emotions or blockages or anything, for life force is not being able to travel through this organism. And so that's where we have to really carefully move out all of those blockages, reintegrate fragments so that we become from this very holy person with holes energetically all around us, looking like Swiss cheese, becoming whole, becoming a whole self. And little by little, as we reintegrate, as we become aware of our energetic space, begin to call back our life force, which is so heavily fragmented in our life experience. So today we're going to be working on the sacral chakra. And in the sacral chakra is, of course, the house of relationships, how we embody ourselves in our relationships with others, in exchanges with others, and how we can manage that life force energy within us. And the major blockages of the sacral chakra are primarily around the concepts of shame and guilt. And anywhere that we are dealing with shame and guilt, mind, body, and soul is one of the biggest blockages that mankind runs into when they're trying to embody their highest expression. And this is very, very deeply programmed into the subconscious mind by society, by culture, by religion, in which as we see the world through the eyes of separation, more and more things become separate from us as something not a part of us. And unfortunately, because of the implementation of a lot of programming, all of these divine aspects of ourselves, the most pure, the most creative life force aspects of ourselves, become inverted, and that inversion and the misunderstanding of these life force and this creative energy becomes weaponized against us because we lack the connection to source, we lack the connection to the self in order to understand the divinity and really the most magnificent power that this human organism has in a state of creation, in a state of abundance, healing, and in order to really co-create more than just reproduction in terms of reproducing. And so this is something that I would love to share with you today because it really plays an incredible role in how we are developing ourselves as humans, as spirits, and our journey through this temporary life that we are experiencing. So when we talk about looking at things as separate and as something disconnected from us, we begin to look at the separation of many things, not just ourselves and others, but in our subconscious mind, in our psyche, even aspects within the self that want to surface as a natural expression, for example, sexuality. And then because of society and because of many other factors, religious, cultural, all of these different factors, we begin to create limiting beliefs based on fear, and the inversion of that sexual life force becomes something that grows deeply within the child at a very early age. And by the time they hit puberty, they are overcome by that creative life force energy that is now affecting in their body. And this is a key moment in which the root, sacral, and solar chakras, which are generating this life force, oftentimes become overactive in a way that there is a lot of the emotions that are the inversion of those emotions, like security, feeling safe in the body, and sexuality, any aspects of their creative life forces that become awakened at that time, then because of society becomes shameful and unacceptable and impure. And so these thought forms that are created in the body of a young adult then begin to create and absorb a lot of shame, and all of the processes of the human coming in through puberty into adolescence becomes impure, becomes wrong. And in our society, it is a terrible, terrible violence that we have, in which the beauty industry, the entertainment industry takes each one of those aspects of the natural evolution of the human from a child into an adult, and really makes all of those aspects look like something incorrect or ugly or uh, dirty or impure or incorrect. And so this is one of the biggest violences that we can do to a young adult coming into adulthood, because that is creating a tremendous amount of disassociation between the natural aspects of the self. And instead of understanding what those energies, what those emotions are, and why they are being brought to life for the adult to carry its adult life, it becomes something of a taboo, and a disconnect between feeling the true emotions becomes blocked. And it's not just young adults and adolescents that go through this process. Oftentimes, as adults, we are also having to deprogram, when we become aware of these limiting beliefs, all of this shame and guilt that has been deeply, deeply embedded within us. In fact, one of the biggest trends that I work on with my clients daily is working on the programs of shame and guilt. And they have everything to do with career, with relationships, with how someone sees themselves, how someone presents themselves into the world. And it really paralyzes the human from being able to move forward in it and navigating its life in a very congruent and graceful way. And what happens is that from the seeding of that emotion becomes a tremendous amount of hate, judgment, and rejection towards the self. So I would say that this is actually one of the most destructive energies and emotions that the human, it doesn't just affect the sacral chakra, it affects the heart chakra tremendously through the spinal cord, because the cord that is connecting the sacral, the life force energy, in order for that life force energy to begin to manifest and express into the world, the upper chakras have to be active, have to express, in order for it to be a creative energy rather than a counter creative energy. And when there is a disconnect between the thoughts that are produced in the lower chakras and a lack of integration and understanding of these emotions, the blockage begins to occur at the heart center, the throat. So the way we feel and see ourselves, the way we can communicate and express, and the way we intuitively interact with the experiences that we're having. So immediately that disconnect causes a tremendous amount of strain. And when we are in our careers or when we are in relationships, we find ourselves later on in adulthood having lived a life of mechanic reaction based on survival, because all of these programs that we have lived throughout our childhood into our young adolescence have become mechanisms of survival. And a lot of times, this is how our personality is formed. The personality becomes a result of survival mechanisms in order to make sure that we are preserving the parts of us that we ourselves have not taken the time to become aware of and to sit with and to understand and to meet. And so this is where the human becomes so incredibly disconnected from themselves that they end up absolutely not knowing themselves, absolutely conflicted and confused about what is divine, what is correct, what is right and wrong, or how to even define or how to find themselves between these two life forces. Ultimately, when we do this kind of work and when we reach the root core of this information, what the person will find is that there actually is no right and wrong. Effectively, all of these belief systems are a result of cause and effect, which have been very carefully socially engineered in our society since the very beginning of time in order to effect control over the human, the expansion of the human. And whether you'd want to look at it that way, or whether we just want to look at the free will of a person that has not chosen conscious action and self-governing awareness of themselves, Either one of those is a result of a cause and effect and the lack of awareness. So, what we want to try to do is to become aware of ourselves in the ideas that we have adopted into our lives and really challenge those programs to see if they are constructive or if they are counter creative for us. And a lot of times, this is one of the most profound work that you can do in your healing, because any time that we are coming into shame or guilt on any level, even if it's something very subtle, is a result of these much heavier, much more profound programs. And you will be able to notice that only if and when you actually follow that shame and that guilt to its root core. And that's when you start opening up the memories of childhood, the relationships, the experiences, and all these things that kind of continue to create a lot of disconnected emotions and intuitive feelings, and the ways that we want to interact with events that happen around us. They become distorted. And the human now no longer understands what is natural, what is truth, in a sense. How we can potentially try to define what truth is. Of course, there are many potential truths. There are many ways and perspectives to look at something when we're discussing truth. But what is our truth, what is more productive for ourselves, is what we want to try to identify. So, what is your truth is the definition of what is the most healthiest vitality, what will cause you less suffering, what will allow you to expand and to embody your highest expression. All of these things are your parameters for understanding what is the best information for you in order to create balance in your life. And these kinds of foundations of understanding of the self are actually the key elements in propelling the human into creating and becoming a co creator, as opposed to just mechanically surviving in experiences. So, this is where I would like to journey with you today, taking a look at the root cause of any kind of programs of shame and guilt that may potentially be causing us blockages in how we are interacting in our experiences. So, let's begin. I am going to just quickly say hello to everybody. Hello, Christopher. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Mari Bond, so good to see you. Good morning. Joe Pesci, Luana, hi. Um, Maripon, yes, it creates anger within yourself that is destructive because we don't have the tools on how to go about it. That's exactly right. And all of those destructive emotions really begin to kind of uh, really limit the expansion of the self, really be able to embody a true, more powerful, more fluid self. And it affects everything, the relationships, your career, the work that you're doing. And a lot of people are kind of wanting to change and shift their directions. They often become very confused. They don't know how to take those directions. And that confusion is because of the lack of connection with our true self and intuitive connection to the self. So, yeah, thank you so much. Hello, Javier. So good to see you. Fiorella, hello. So great to see you. Joe, though at this time I feel strong as I have ever been. I'm so glad to hear you're good. Wow, I'm about to turn 30 in a month, and I fear being in a state of midlife crisis. Oh, Joe, you're still quite young, but there is always those crises that we go into. And I'm so happy that you are feeling stronger at this time. That's really great. What mindset should I be in as I go into my 30s? That's a really good question. There's so many things that you can take a look at. But I think that as long as you're congruent with your mind and body in a state of authenticity, you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong. That congruency is something that really will carry out into your later life without being in a state of fear. Okay, so thank you so much. Hello, Angie. So wonderful to see you. All right, my love. So let's get started with our meditation then. We're going to begin by breathing, inhaling and exhaling. And in this meditation, I'm going to take you through an identification of the emotion. We're going to be taking a look at the root cause of this emotion and the blockages in the sacral chakra, which we'll see where they root in. And a lot of times the root of those are in shame and guilt. So I would like for you to journey into those areas And we're also going to remove attachments and any entities that may have manifested in our 13 dimensional planes within the holographic projection of the sacral chakra. So please take your time and follow along. If you have any questions, put it in the chat. I'm going to try to answer them as I go along with my meditation so that you can adjust. Okay. All right. Thank you so much. We're going to start by inhaling deeply and exhaling as we begin to connect to our bodies, breathing. We're going to ground down to the center of the earth. We're going to visualize that we are protected in a field of light made out of something completely impenetrable. Okay, we're going to start by working with the root chakra. Go ahead and close that chakra all the way down to the size of a dime, disconnecting any imbalance in the root chakra. Going up to the sacral, closing that down to the size of a dime. The solar, opening the heart, opening the throat chakra, blue light, front and back of the body. You're visualizing a double-sided vortex that connects at the spinal cord, feminine and masculine aspect of yourself. So if one of the sides feels a little harder to open than the other, you know exactly where the stagnation lives. Great time for you to just gently push through that. Go up to your third eye. Go ahead and open that chakra. Go up to the crown. Activate the crown. The 7th and the 8th chakra, you're going to open up. And as you spin it as fast as possible, go ahead and fill in your color in that space. If you don't have a color, I want you to see a color that represents your highest vibrational expression and go ahead and put it up in that space. Breathing deeply. Very good. So now that you're here, I want you to begin to focus on the sacral chakra. Breathing deeply. We are working with sacral chakra. And I want you to begin to observe the second layer of your body. Second dimensional plane. Take a look at that. The whole field around your body. Go ahead and see that energetic field around your body. And begin to observe as you begin to take yourself back to the womb. You are aware of your second dimensional layer of your body. And I want you to take yourself back to the womb. Observing the emotions that are there. Noticing your mother's emotions, your father's emotions. As you come into the world, take a look at yourself. Go ahead and see childhood. Take a look at your childhood. As you begin to observe all of the emotions that are located in the sacral chakra since the womb, all the beliefs around exchanges, around relationships that we're learning from our mother, from our father. What were the main beliefs that influenced our early life? Begin to observe. And you're going to very quickly, as you begin to observe these memories that you're scanning through, emotions and sensations, tightness will begin to occur in some parts of the body. I want you to be very aware of that. A lot of these memories will trigger those feelings in the body. Notice that. Are they feelings of resistance, discomfort, fear, anger, anxiety? As you review your life, are they memories of joy, happiness? Just observe. And with every emotion that comes up as you observe these experiences, I want you to dive in a little deeper with each one of those feelings. Feel them for a moment and see what else is there. Be very observant. You're going to go up to the age of 7 now as you begin to observe the first 7 years of your life. What are the beliefs that have been created up until this point about relationships, about sex, if you were aware of sex at that age, about yourself? Notice that. You're going to go up to your teen years now, going up to the age of 13. Begin to observe all the experiences up until the age of 13 that were regarding relationships and the self. How did you see yourself in most relationships at that age? What kind of emotions primarily came up for you around relationships? Take a look at that. You'll probably find that there's a lot to look at here, especially within this age. As we begin to become aware of relationships, what interactions are with the opposite sex, with friends, families, with our parents. Was there a maternal role in our presence? Was there a paternal role in our presence? What did they teach us about the feminine and masculine roles? What was your perception of love at that age? What did love mean to you? Notice what love meant with your mother. So, how was love exchanged in that relationship? Was it a balanced exchange? Imbalanced? Was it nurturing? Was it toxic? Was it non existent? Take a look at that. Breathing deeply, always remembering to breathe and remembering that you're closing your first three chakras, allowing you to stay in a state of neutrality as you observe these things as if you're watching a movie of yourself in your life. Go ahead and take a look at your father now. What did love mean with our father? Was it protective? Was it balanced? Was it imbalanced? Was it present? And how did it make you feel about the divine masculine? How did it make you feel about love? We're going to go into our later teens now, going into our young adult years, perhaps in high school. Begin to observe the relationship with yourself at that age. What was the emotion that we most felt in our lives with relationship to our classmates, with our friends, with our family? Very quickly, you'll be able to notice the emotion because it's quite unforgettable and it's recorded in your every cell of your body, in every muscle. So as you begin to observe, just noticing. Perhaps you find your first partnership here, intimate relationship or partnership. How was that? What was your emotions during this experience? Was it loving, caring, and open, or was it restricted, fearful, anxious? And whatever the answer is, I want you to ask yourself why, and is it true? Was it true that you felt that way? Or is there more information there for you to understand about yourself? Take a look at that. Go ahead and take yourself now to your college years. Take yourself now to your later adulthood. Okay. And you're just going to quickly review in college or when you got your first job. Take a look at how you dove into your adult life now. Okay, look at the roles that you play in your relationships. And I want you to notice when shame first begin to come into your life. Now that you have reviewed these different sections of your life, observe the emotions. How does shame and guilt play a role in forming these perceptions throughout your life? Take a look at that. What is it that makes us anxious or sad or upset or angry? Take a look at all of the emotions that have come up from these experiences that cause the greatest amount of impact for you in blocking your ability to embody good exchanges with either the opposite sex or with friends and family or with yourself. You'll find that it's quite similar with all of them, but observe and identify what is the strongest emotion that you felt. Go ahead and identify where in the body you feel that emotion. Okay, where does that emotion live in the body? Notice that. And you're going to focus on that part of the body. And as you begin to focus on that part of the body, wherever it is, I want you to be absolutely present with this emotion. Be present with it. And as you're present with it, you're going to begin to have all kinds of other emotions come up. Go ahead and name those out, acknowledge them, see them. What are those emotions? What's underneath this emotion? And as you begin to identify those emotions, go ahead and select the strongest of those that you named out. The strongest. Go ahead and once again locate in the body, where does that emotion live in the body? Notice that. Right now, you are going through the layers, the dimensional layers of your body. Okay, check into that. Anywhere that we have an emotion is holographically projected within your dimensional bodies. So, this kind of awareness, kind of next level in healing, this is where the future of healing lies, our understanding and the connection between the physical and the non physical, the energetic, the vibrational, and the non physical. So, as we begin to observe where we see, where we store that information, I want you to go back to your second layer of your body and see where it connects from the physical body to that layer. Go ahead and see. Is there a tear in your second layer of your body? You will very quickly be able to identify the connection between this emotion and what is happening in your second layer. So go ahead and scan. Look at all of the heaviness that you're holding in the second layer of all of these life experiences, all of these emotions that are mostly based in fear and negativity will present themselves like heavy energy, like tears, like rips, or it'll just feel like it's open. So go ahead and scan the second layer and begin to repair. I want you to visualize a color that represents the most healing color for this. It's going to represent the opposite of the emotion that you felt. What is the opposite of that emotion? So, an example, if the emotion you identified was a deep fear and anxiety, what would be the opposite of that? And I want you to select a color for that emotion, and you're going to put it into your space. Into your space. healing the second layer. Breathing deeply. Breathing deeply. Silently observing your energetic space. As you heal here, I want you to see that emotion again, that emotion that you selected. I want you to take yourself back to the very first time in this lifetime or in another lifetime where you have felt that emotion. Take yourself there. As you come into that space, go ahead and take yourself in that space and begin to notice where you are. Tap into the fragment of yourself that is still living in this time and space where this emotion exists. This is a reference point in which is constantly triggered in the body. And what you'll notice as you begin to observe this scenario is that it is repeating similar scenarios that you have experienced in this lifetime around the feelings of exchange with the opposite sex, friends and family, and how we feel about ourselves. What is the repetitive pattern in these exchanges? Are we giving too much? Are we not receiving enough? Are we fearful of that exchange? Do we feel insecure, unworthy, not good enough? Do we feel impure? Is the creative life force and our understanding of creative life force inverted or limited somehow? Take a look at that. And as you begin to observe, allow that part of you, that fragment of yourself to begin to heal. Give it what it needs in order to become whole again. Notice any beliefs around separation that can be changed. For example, if there is a fear of the opposite sex or a fear of connection or intimacy with something else, how can you see yourself as a part of that instead of separate from that? Take a look at that. Go ahead and reintegrate that fragment of yourself back into the body. And now I want you to see all of your fragments from birth up until now. As you begin to observe all of the emotions around shame and guilt that have arisen throughout our lives, coming into our highest expression, coming into the most expansive self, free, with the ability to love without fear, looking at the self and all of the natural aspects of the self as divine. What does it take in order for us to embody that divinity, to know that we are divine, to know that every aspect of ourselves is pure? It's of the highest vibration. Take a look at that. As you begin to observe all of your fragments in front of you, you are calling in all fragments from all dimensional planes and fragments from this lifetime that are still in that space of fear, shame, and guilt. Go ahead and see them. I'm going to surround them in a golden sphere of light. And I want you to provide them with everything that they require, observing what one needs, what you need in order to see yourself as this divine, to see yourself as this light. No longer carrying the heavy burdens of past stories, of shame, of guilt that limit your ability to love yourself, to feel worthy, and to continue in your life in a most expansive way. Take a look at that. Are we operating from a place of survival or a place of creation? A place of separation or a place of unity? Let them feel that unity. Show them how to reach that unity and allow those fragments to merge into one as they begin to see themselves as the all. As you begin to see your fragment in front of you, I want you to visualize that you are cutting a cord between yourself and anything external, any belief system that is still existing, that is feeding into the belief systems of shame and guilt within the body around anything. Okay, go ahead and see that cord. You're going to cut that cord on that end and you're going to pull it out of your body. I want you to visualize pulling out all the cords in the body of shame and guilt, fears, anxieties, angers, doubts, any angers and resentment towards the self, anger and resentment towards mother, father, divine feminine, masculine, externally and internally. Go ahead and search for all of those cords within the body that are still feeding into these belief systems that we are not the divine. We are less than the divine. Pull them out. Breathing deeply, and we're going to bring a powerful wave of white light that comes down into the body and begins to feed into all of these parts that we are clearing, allowing them to absorb that white light, healing. Everything that you're releasing, you are replacing with white light. Begin to notice how you feel more expansive in these areas of the body that are being healed. Excellent. And as always, you're going to visualize a vortex outside of your home in which you will direct everything that you're clearing so that it doesn't stay lingering in your environment, in the home that you are in your sleeping quarters or your home where your kids and family or yourself lives. Clear all of that out so it doesn't stay in your place. Very good. Introducing all of that stagnation back to source, to the infinite. And you're going to see a pile of contracts in front of you that represent our current karmic repetitive patterns that we have in our life around these belief systems. These contracts can be with careers that we have chosen, relationships that we have chosen, our life choices, and the way that we feel about ourselves. All of these karmic contracts represents the repetitive pattern of the neglect and the rejection of the true self, of the divine self. Go ahead and destroy those contracts completely and let me know when you're done. Breathing deeply. As you complete, you can imagine burning them up. You can toss them out, you can tear them up, whatever feels real to you. Imagine clearing them out. Very good. Excellent. Go ahead and visualize clearing your space. And you're going to go back to the fragments of yourself that have merged into one. Take a look at that. What do you look like now that you have reintegrated your fragments? Take a look at the perspective that it has and how it feels when it thinks of shame and guilt now. How has it changed? Take a look at its perspective of the divine feminine, masculine energies, sexuality, intimacy, connection with the self and the other. How has it changed? How has the perception expanded? Take a look at that. Breathing deeply. And you're going to take back that fragment of yourself into the body as you inhale, allowing it to integrate fully in the body. Healing the body, particularly sending it to the parts of the body that require that assistance, that require that healing. Excellent. Very good. So now that you're here, I want you to go and begin to see yourself as if you're looking at your body. And I want you to tune into yourself and your layers of your dimensional body to begin to observe where you still do not see yourself as the divine. I want you to begin to visualize that you have a vacuum underneath your body going down to the center of the earth, in which all of these beliefs, all of these limiting emotions will begin to leave your layers of your body. We're going to start at the first layer, clearing that out. The second layer, and of course, the layers are the chakras. So we're working with the chakras now. The third layer, that's the emotional body. The fourth layer, that's the heart chakra. Clear it. The fifth layer, that's the communication, expression. Where are we not seeing ourselves as the divine? Eliminating any shame and guilt around expressing our truth. In the heart, eliminating any shame and guilt around loving the self and seeing all things as a part of ourselves in unconditional love. In the solar plexus, eliminating all shame and guilt around our emotions, expressing the emotions, embodying the emotions. Okay. In the sacral, it's about intimacy with the self and with others, relationships, giving and receiving. Where do we feel shame? Receiving. Where do we feel shame and guilt? Giving. And in the root, it's about feeling safe. Where do we feel shame and guilt? In feeling safe, either in the body or in our environment, in our empowerment. Eliminating all of those thought forms out of the body. I'm going to jump up to the third eye now. Where do we feel shame and guilt in trusting our intuition? Where do we have limiting beliefs around trust and our intuition? The guidance that comes from the higher self, the source. We're going to go up to the ninth and the seventh and the eighth, the centers of creation and manifestation. Where do we have shame and guilt in manifesting everything that we deserve in our life, everything that we wish to achieve, that we want to embody, whether that's relationships, abundance, careers, all the things that are in the physical, all the things that are in the non-physical, the spiritual aspects of ourselves, accessing the highest level of ourselves without shame and guilt. Eliminate all of those programs. You're going to go up to the ninth chakra. Go ahead and activate the ninth. Where do we feel fear, shame, guilt in accessing our dreams or dreaming things in dream state when we begin to leave the body? Where do we feel unworthy of traveling, of becoming lucid in all states? Going up to the 10th dimension. Take a look at that. The programs of the non-physical. Now it's elevating. Notice how the same emotion, the same thought limiting belief changes form as you go up to the higher dimensional planes. Now it's not so much about the physical. Now it's about the higher dimensional planes. So it's a different ballpark, isn't it? As you enter into the 11th dimension, it's about the Akashic records. It's about the higher self connecting with source. Where do we feel limited or unworthy of entering into those higher states? Where do we block ourselves from embodying that higher self? Going up to the 12th dimensional plane. Where do we feel that we are unworthy in this lifetime to achieve and embody that highest expression? Where do we mistrust this process as a human in this experience? Going up to the 13th. Where do we fear seeing ourselves as the all, as everything? Take a look at yourself as you begin to access the 13th dimensional plane. You are everything and you are nothing at the same time. We do not require definition. We don't require a name. We don't require the fears or the limitations of those beliefs because they are so small, they are so limited. Take a look at yourself as all things, no longer seeing things from the dualistic perspective. As you reach the higher dimensional planes of the 13th dimension, you're connecting up to source. And as you connect up to source, you are the all. So begin to tune in to this unconditional love. Go ahead and bring down that source energy down to the body and anchor it into the center of the earth as you widen the center core, even bigger than yesterday. Widen your light. Your energetic field becomes stronger and stronger every single day with each discovery, with each awareness, with each integration, with each healing. And little by little, we begin to gently peel back the layers of the limiting beliefs to see the true self, which this is here at this moment, as you can see. Very good. As you inhale deeply, we're opening the root back into a balanced state. The sacral, the solar, the heart, bringing it back in. The throat, bringing it back in. The third eye, bringing it back in. And you are completely aligned, grounded down to the center of the earth, protected in your protective field. I want you to allow yourself to come back into the room and just open your eyes. And I want to thank you so much for joining me on this journey. I really hope that this allowed us to take a look at some of the powerful programs that have affected our belief system in coming into our adulthood and continue to limit our ability to embody our highest expression. All of these belief systems are blockages that hinder your ability to grow your light, to embody your highest expression. So take the time to sit down with them, understand them, work with them, so that you can begin to let go and shed those beliefs that don't serve you anymore. So thank you so much for joining me. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much. Hi, Eugene. So great to see you. Conflict Radio, wonderful to see you. Yes, we are on late today. I'm so glad you could join us, though. La Tonizine, hello. Much love to you. And let's see. Brad M says, hi, Geraldine. I'm in Manchester. Nice, Brad. I'm so excited that you're there. How is it? I hope you're enjoying yourself. Catherine says, did we have an earthquake? I didn't feel one. Where are you, Catherine? Are you in the Bay Area? Tamana Zainab. Oh, hello, Tamana. It's so good to see you. I'm so glad you're here. Luana, so good to see you. Thank you, Geraldine. I appreciate you very, very much. I love you very much. And thank you so much for being here with me today. I hope that this assisted you. If you have any questions, put it down below and I will answer them tomorrow. Have a wonderful day and see you soon. Much love. Bye-bye.